What's up, guys? Derek here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with another episode in our Top 10 Secret Tech series. Today's Secret Tech will be for the blue-black combination of Dimir. So let's take a look at the cards we came up with. As you can see, we chose 6 creatures, 3 instants, and 1 enchantment for our top 10 cards. We'll take a look at the lone enchantment first. The enchantment is Soul Ransom. It's a 4-cost, 2 colorless, a blue and a black. It says enchant creature, you control the enchanted creature. It's a pretty cool ability to have. There's a lot of other enchantments out there that are like this that steal stuff. A lot of them hit the 5 mana cost slot, while this one's only 4. This one does have a sort of drawback with also a potential gain on it as well. So it says, you control enchanted creature. Discard 2 cards, Soul Ransom controller sacrifices it, then draws 2 cards. Only an opponent may activate this ability. So what that means is you go ahead and you cast this, you take their creature, they can pitch 2 cards to make you sacrifice the enchantment, and they get their creature back and you draw 2 cards. So this card's cool for a lot of reasons. It's cool for one, that you get their creature for 4 mana, and if they don't have 2 cards, they can never sacrifice it. So if they're only down to 1 card, and then they have to either pitch their whole hand when they get a second card, or they just can't do anything with it, or they pitch the 2 cards, and then you draw 2 cards. So they've lost 2 cards, you lost the enchantment, and you drew 2 cards, so you more or less 2-for-1 them in the end, math-wise. It's a really cool card to play with. I've played around it. I mean, generally what either happens is unless it's a humongous, serious, impactful creature, they'll let you have it and burn a spot removal on it. So you still traded a 1-for-1. They'll either spot removal their own creature, or they'll spot removal the enchantment. So it's pretty fun. I've liked the card. I've liked playing with it while I have. And it's done pretty well. You know, everything that I wanted to do it did, and I like that. For instance, first up we have Agony Warp. Agony Warp is a 2-cost via blue-black. It says target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn, and target creature gets -0/-3 until end of turn. This is very similar to Nameless Inversion. Nameless Inversion just does a +3/-3. What makes this spell nice is that it's a -3 to one creature, and a -3/-0 to one creature, and a -0/-3 to another. So you can really use it to set up some real nice combat tricks, and take out 2 of your opponent's creatures with this one card. You know, if they attack with a 3/3, you block with your 3/3, give theirs the -3/-0, so your creature kills theirs, but yours doesn't die. And another one of their creatures, if it's like a 2/2, you can just go ahead and kill it with the -0/-3. So you can really set up some nice combat tricks with it, and that's what I like about it. Then we have Psychic Strike. It's a 3-cost instant that says counter target spell. Its controller puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So counter spells are always powerful, and we know that. What I like about this card is you're essentially 3-for-1ing your opponent. You cast this one spell, you counter that spell that you're targeting, and then they lose 2 cards off the top of their library. Now, you are leaving it up to some chance of what's going to get exiled. Milled away, unless you've gone ahead and set it up, or like Fate Sealed them or something. But I just like the fact that for the 3 mana, you're countering the spell, they're milling 2 cards. That's a really powerful combination. Next up, we have Saloon Gars Command. This is a 5-cost instant, 3 with a blue and a black, 3 colors, a blue and a black, and it says choose 2, counter target non-creature spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, and destroy target planeswalker. So this has some really good modes. I mean, it has a counter spell attached, a bounce spell attached, a kill spell attached, and a kill spell for a planeswalker attached. And the fact that you can choose 2 is really awesome. I mean, this thing is straight up value with all the different modes you can choose. Now we're on to the creatures. So for the creatures we chose were Dinrova Horror. It's a 6-cost 4/4, and it says when Dinrova Horror enters the battlefield, return target permanent to its owner's hand. Then that player discards a card. So there's a lot of creatures that when they come in, they bounce something like Aether Snipe, which I believe costs 5 mana, while this guy costs 6. But they also discard a card after. So if they have no cards in their hand, whatever you bounce, they just discard. You may have well just destroyed it. And that's a very powerful ability. His body's not that bad, being a 4/4 for 6 mana, but his ability is just great, and it's an ETB, not a cast. So if you have like a Deadeye Navigator, you can really just abuse the hell out of this guy. Or something like even like a Timur Sabertooth to bounce into your hand and recast him again, or Ghostly Flicker, or Essence Flux, or Eerie Interlude, or any number of ways to blink him out. It's really powerful when you start doing this a lot. I mean, just imagine flickering this guy like 5 or 6 times with a Deadeye Navigator, bouncing 5 or 6 of their non-land permanents, and they have to discard that many cards. That's really, really powerful. Up next we have Mortis Strider. He's a 3-cost 1/1. He says when Mortis Strider dies, return it to its owner's hand. What's nice about this guy is he's the blocker that keeps on blocking. You know, he's not as good as some of the other guys, like a reassembling skeleton that you can just return right from the graveyard. But I mean, he's very, very similar in that you cast him for 3 mana. He comes down as a 1/1. He blocks. He dies. He goes to your graveyard, comes back, and you do it all over again. And that's pretty nice. That auto recursion that he has, that you only have to pay the 3 mana to put him down again. And when you do cast him, he'll trigger any like ETBs from creatures that come in and stuff like that. So that's always nice as well. Next up, we have Necromaster Dragon. This guy is a 4-cost 4/4 flying. 5-cost 4/4 flying dragon. Excuse me. He says whenever a Necromaster Dragon deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2. If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, and each opponent puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So this guy is a flying dragon that hits for 4. When he hits, they've already lost 4 life. You pay 2. You get a 2/2 zombie, and on top of that, they mill 2 cards. I mean, just the straight value this guy has, and all he has to do is hit. And if he doesn't hit, I mean, you know, if they smash a removal onto him, or if they just block him, you're just going to keep applying that constant pressure, because they know if he does hit, you're getting a guy out of it, and they're milling 2 cards. And what's also nice about him is the little fact that when you turn him sideways to attack, if he hits and you get that zombie, the zombie replaces itself as a blocker. So he can no longer block because he attacked, but now the zombie can block, so you save yourself from getting that hit in response, and that's really cool as well. Up next we have Possessed Scav. Possessed Scav is a 5-cost 3/2 zombie. Being a zombie puts him in an amazing tribe for support, but what he does is when Possessed Scav enters a battlefield, return target instant, sorcery, or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If he would die, exile him instead. So the fact that when he dies he gets exiled, not necessarily ideal. We don't really like that kind of stuff most of the time. But the fact that when he comes in we can return a sorcery or an instant or a creature is really, really good. It's almost like a pseudo-Eternal Witness in blue-black. Now I know he can't get back enchantments, artifacts, planeswalkers, and all that, but being able to get back sorceries, instants, and creatures is a good majority of what would be in your graveyard most of the time. And then you can flicker him as many times as you want because it is an ETB, not a cast, and that's a really cool ability in and of itself. Next up we have Ruthless Deathfang. This is a 6-cost 4/4 flyer, and he says whenever you sacrifice a creature, target opponent sacrifices a creature. So what's nice about this guy is he fills a very similar role to like a Grave Pact or Dictator of Erebos or Butcher of Malakir, but he lets you target a specific player with it rather than being global. So it lets you have a very similar to a Grave Pact style effect, while possibly being able to be somewhat political with it because you can target a certain opponent. And that's really cool too. You know, if you have down a Grave Pact and him, you sacrifice a creature, everybody sacrifices for the Grave Pact, then you can target a specific player with him and make them lose just a little more than everybody else. So that's pretty fun. And up next we have Siren of the Silent Song. It is a 3-cost 2/1 flyer with Inspired that says whenever Siren of the Silent Song becomes untapped, each opponent discards a card, then puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So what's nice about this guy that I like is if they have no flyers, technically a girl I think, but regardless, technically if they have no flyers, you just swing away with this. And then on your turn they'll untap, and then they have to discard and mill, and that's not bad for 3 mana, a reusable discard and mill. I mean, eventually, you know, you're going to shred their hand down to nothing after you've done it a few times. It's also a zombie, so that's very, very nice. It does fit into that zombie tribe as well, but it fills a pretty cool role. I think it just having to untap to be able to make them discard mill is nice. I have a King Makar the Gold Curse deck that I didn't think his Inspired would be that good, and then with all the tap and untap effects I have, it actually has become pretty powerful. For a perfect example is if you throw a Paradise Mantle on her, now you can tap her to add a colored mana to your mana pool, and then on your untap she'll then in turn untap, and you get to use her ability. So then she's actually netting you mana and making your opponent have that negative impact. So that's pretty cool as well. So that rounds out our top 10. I'll go over the cards again. We had Dinrova Hora, Mortis Strider, Necromaster Dragon, Possessed Scav, Ruthless Deathfang, Siren of the Silent Song, Agony Warp, Psychic Strike, Gars Command, and Soul Ransom. This has been Derek with Tap and Turn Gaming, and this was our top 10 Dimir secret tech. Please like, comment, subscribe, and continue watching. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.